Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hari ni saya nak buat discussion berkaitan dengan reading yang saya bagi kat awak tu. Okay, last kita berhenti dekat classes of hormones, right? So we have 4 types of hormones. So we already cover the steroid hormones. What is the classes of steroid hormones? How steroid hormones do their actions, okay, how steroid hormones are being synthesized, okay, so the precursor is cholesterol, etc. Alright, so we go to peptide hormones. So this slide over here, synthesis of peptide hormones. So peptide hormones, so the macromolecules is amino acids, right? So amino acids will be packaged by ribosomal RNA, mRNA. The info comes from mRNA and then go through the Golgi apparatus and endoplasmic reticulum just to attach one by one amino acid, so it will become peptides. Okay, dipeptide, tripeptide, eventually polypeptide. Okay, in the end, after the mRNA being read by the Golgi apparatus, by the endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus, ribosomal RNA, we get the polypeptide. So as you can see here, so in the end we have this prohormone. Prohormone, it consists of polypeptide. So it will package in a secretory vesicle. So in this secretory vesicle, it is an active hormone. Okay, when needed by the body, by the homeostasis system, this secretory vesicle will endocytosis, release the active hormone to the extracellular fluid. Okay, so basically this next slide is the explanation what I tried to explain just now. Okay, all right. Okay, so the next section after peptide hormone synthesis, so this slide over here introduce to you about the endocrine gland. Remember we did look for all endocrine glands. Okay, let me find it. All right, so all the endocrine glands is in this slide over here. Let me try to give you see major endocrine glands. So after the peptide hormones synthesis, our slide notes it's about the pituitary gland. Okay, pituitary gland is one of the major endocrine gland. So pituitary gland consists of two divided by two, anterior pituitary and posterior pituitary. Okay, I hope you already read the pages. Okay, so you understand why the other name for posterior is neurohypophysis, anterior is adenohypophysis. Okay, so all these two division of pituitary gland can secrete hormones. Okay, endocrine gland secrete hormones. Okay. All right, so this picture over here show you all types of hormones secreted by pituitary gland, and then that hormone secreted by pituitary gland will react to other endocrine gland, the second endocrine gland. Okay, so let's see here, the thyroid stimulating hormone TSH secreted by anterior pituitary, the blue color over there. So this TSH, when present in the blood, it will travel to the blood, go to the thyroid gland, and then this thyroid gland will secrete their hormones. Second example, ACTH, adrenocorticotropic hormones, ACTH, secreted by anterior pituitary, and then travel to adrenal cortex, and then adrenal gland, travel to adrenal gland, and then this adrenal gland, especially adrenal cortex, will be stimulated and then secrete the second hormone. Okay, the purple color, posterior pituitary antidiuretic hormones, ADH, or other name is vasopressin, secreted by posterior pituitary. When it present in the blood, it will travel to the kidney. It will cause the kidney to do their action. Okay. Second example for posterior pituitary, oxytocin, secreted by posterior pituitary. So this oxytocin travel to the, for example here, to the uterus. It will cause the contraction of the uterus during labor, giving birth. Okay, so this is example. So okay, this slide is about pituitary gland hormones. So every hormones over here will go to the another endocrine gland, or it will go to the target organ or target cells. Okay, so this is another way to show you the hormones secreted by the pituitary and then where they go. Okay, so this slide over here is explanation of the posterior pituitary just now. So you can see here the two examples, oxytocin and vasopressin. Okay, new term here, neurohormones, meaning these hormones come from posterior pituitary. That posterior pituitary is actually a neuron cell that can secrete hormones. So we call it oxytocin and vasopressin is a neurohormones, hormones that secreted by a neuron. Okay, sort of. Okay, so the second wording here, first order feedback loop. So this one related to the oxytocin and vasopressin secretion. First order feedback loop meaning when this hormone secreted, it directly go to the target organ and cause reaction and cause response. Okay, so example here, okay, this is just to show you oxytocin is both neurotransmitter and hormones. Okay, it can act as neurotransmitter and it can also act as hormones. Okay, so case study over here oxytocin. So posterior pituitary secrete oxytocin. It will travel. First we look at the label, the left hand side here. Oxytocin travel to the blood, go to the placenta. So when it go to the uterus and placenta, it will stimulate the uterus to contract to cause more contraction. So it will push the baby out. Okay. So the right hand side case study over here, the baby suckling. Okay, it caused by oxytocin reaction also. The stimulus is piezoreceptor nipples. Okay, the baby suckle the nipple, so cross a pressure over there, the stimulation of the pressure stimulation. So that is considered as signal. Okay, and then it will signal to the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus will send signal to the posterior pituitary. Posterior pituitary will secrete oxytocin. Oxytocin travel into the blood and then arrive at the mammary gland region. Okay, it will stimulate the myoepithelial cells of breast to contract. So when that when that myoepithelial cells contract, it will cause the alveolar gland to release the milk through nipples. So and then the baby get the milk, the baby suckle again, it will continue to release oxytocin and cause the releasing milk until the baby stops suckling. Then the oxytocin will stop secrete. All right. Okay, so this slide over here is about anterior pituitary. It can stimulate and inhibit. Okay, hypothalamus controls the secretion of hormones from the anterior pituitary by secreting neurohormones into hypothalamic pituitary portal system. Meaning, anterior pituitary will get signal from hypothalamus, and then anterior pituitary will secrete their secretion. Okay. So here, so hypothalamus over here, the top one. Okay, we have the nerve over here, over there, the nerve ending of hypothalamic neuron secrete neurohormones. Okay, secrete the neurohormones. It will enter the blood system, and it will neurohormones stimulate the anterior pituitary. So anterior pituitary will start to synthesize whatever hormone the body need, and it will then anterior pituitary will release that hormone, secrete that hormone into the blood system, and then travel to the targeted organ. Okay, so anterior pituitary secretion need a stimulus from the hypothalamus to be secreted, and also need a inhibition stimulus from the hypothalamus to stop secrete the hormones. Okay, so as you can see here, hypothalamus neurohormones GnRH, here example GnRH secreted by hypothalamus. When it present, it will travel to the capillaries. We call it here the okay, enter these capillaries over here. It will stimulate the anterior pituitary will activate it and then secrete LH, for example here. LH travel to the blood, it will go to the targeted organ, which is reproductive organ. Okay, then it will stimulate the reproductive organ to release another hormone, which is sex hormones. Example, the first example over here. Okay, we go to the third one. Okay, hypothalamus will secrete TRH. TRH is, if I'm not mistaken, thyroid releasing hormone. Okay, thyroid releasing hormone travel inside that red color capillaries. It will stimulate the anterior pituitary. Anterior pituitary will activate it and secrete thyroid stimulating hormone. It will travel into the blood. Okay, it will travel into the blood and go to thyroid gland, and then thyroid gland stimulated, it will release another hormone, which is thyroid hormone. Okay. So this is how anterior pituitary hormones process or do their action. Okay, so as you can see, anterior pituitary involve many hormones. Whether sometimes it can involve 2 hormones, sometimes it can involve 3 hormones. Example here, GnRH, LH, and then sex steroid. So 3 hormones or 2 hormones. TRH involve TRH, TSH, and then thyroid gland, eventually the third one. Okay. So secretion of these hormones related to the feedback loop here. Let's say, let me show here. This one. Okay. First order feedback loop, second order feedback loop, third order feedback loop. Almost all the anterior pituitary is the second order feedback loop or the third order feedback loop. Okay. There is stimulus, it will stimulate the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus will secrete the neurohormones. Okay. This one. The neurohormones. And then these neurohormones will cause the first endocrine gland, which is the anterior pituitary, okay, to secrete the hormone 1, okay. And this hormone 1 travel to the second endocrine gland. Let's say we talk about thyroid gland just now. Okay, so hormone 1 is TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. Endocrine gland, the second one is thyroid gland. So thyroid gland here will secrete thyroid hormone. Okay. How are you today? Alhamdulillah. Satu, dua, sorry. Satu, dua, tiga, satu, dua, dua, tiga, empat, lima, enam, tujuh, lapan, 9.